It's Waxing Lyrical, baby.
Hello, Waxers, and welcome to Waxing Lyrical with Mains and Duts. I'm your host, Mains, and my colleague, who is embracing hope in Rainford, Mr. Neil Dutton. How are we, Neil?
Embracing hope?
You know what I'm talking about, Neil. We all saw the tweet for the thousands of people who follow you. There was a, if we win this game tonight is Thursday, for those who are listening, so you may listen on Friday and Saturday, so Dutton may be in hope or out of. Neil is may just have bought into his Philadelphia Eagles for the first time in a few years.
No.
You said, and I quote, if we win this, I expect nothing less than the 2 seed. That's kind of embracing hope, Neil. It's the definition.
No, it was a logical process. I've taken the heart out of the equation on this one. Because quite simply, you know, an awful lot of people in the media have sucked the Eagles' Kool-Aid. I'm not one of them. I still think this is a flawed team, especially in the secondary. But the NFC is a cesspool of crap at present. So, you know, there is no dominant team in the NFC. It's wide open. So if the Eagles were to go 5-1 and then 6-1 on Monday Night Football with 10 days rest, between them.
Who you got Monday Night Football, Neil?
The Josh Normanless Washington Semi-Professional Football Club.
Correct.
I'm just saying, I would expect, if you can get on this run, get the nice rest, I don't think it would be beyond the realm of possibility to finish as the number 2 seed or even the 1 seed. Does that mean they're a great team? No. It just means it's a substandard NFL.
Just means they've won their games, Neil, as we well know. Neil, we have all said this, and we say this in every sport that we follow. It's the hope that kills you. For our safe and for your sanity, I secretly hope you lose tonight. Not due to any NFC East thing. Just I want you to be even keeled. That's all.
All I'll say is, as you know, I always like to do one better than the worst. So the worst Eagles season I've ever seen, they finished 4-12. So they've got 4 wins. On the unlikely event that the Eagles now lose their next 11 games, we've at least matched the worst season I've ever seen.
That would be some effort based on how they're playing at the moment to lose those games. Let's not talk about Thursday night, as it's Thursday night now, and people are going to listen to it, and it's already going to be out of date. And I do love that when you listen to a podcast the day after a game, because you're either that guy's a genius or usually he's got completely wrong, because that's how the NFL works. Mm-hmm. Usual fare this week, guys. Hot wax takes. We've got 3 really good games of the week, although random games, I think, based on where you thought you'd be at the start of the season. Got Dutton's fantasy darlings and losers, and my DraftKings team of the week. Dutton's retired for this week due to ineptitude.
And also a asset liquidation crisis in the DraftKings account.
Asset liquid, yeah, as in I've got no money. So let's get things started. Dutton with the hot wax takes. We won't play any music. If you've seen the news, you'll know why.
Guilty until proven innocent and all that, but
and we're not talking about Harvey Weinstein right now.
No.
First things first, Dutton. I'm going to go and if you ever link, I guess, NFL teams with Premier League teams, which I know people like to do. It's been noted in the past that the Jets and a club close to, I wouldn't say Hearts, but close to your bank balance in the past, Everton Football Club, and the New York Football Jets have been linked together, mainly due to an inferiority complex and the fact that they think the world's against them.
Your words.
My words. Quote me on it. If you don't like it, at Mainsy7, you know where I am. Is the Giants basically hurtling towards the first pick, and the Jets being semi-decent by accident when they tried to actually be terrible, the most Jets thing ever?
It's the Everton finishing 4th, Liverpool winning the Champions League, basically phenomenon, isn't it? The one year that Everton decide to be good, Liverpool decide to be that much better. The problem is the Jets may have been tanking. No one told Todd Bowles that he had to coach down. he's coached a very, very ordinary group of offensive players. They have got some nice defensive pieces. I think we should stress that. But their offense, I mean, their wide receivers are Jeremy Curley, Jermaine Kearse, and Robbie Anderson. Jesus wept. Although, to be honest, the Giants would kill for that wide receiver core right now.
I was just about to say that, don't I? And if we flip it over to the Giants side, they are having what is known as a prototypical run at the number one pick. You start off poorly, you have a bit of discontent, and then you get a load of really, really bad injuries that mean you just by accident tank. You don't even have to. They're not like deliberately doing it, but you lose Beckham, which is a massive blow. You lose Brandon Marshall, not as much of a blow. You've still got Eli Manning. That can be seen to be a blow, and you end up being, 3-13 without even thinking about it. And you'd be 3-13 because you beat Washington twice, because that's what the Giants do.
The thing is, though, and you can say about the bad luck, the injuries or whatnot. I defy anyone to go back, watch all the New York Giants film this year and tell me that they're unlucky. They're not.
Oh, no.
Awful.
Oh, yeah. No.
And now they're just awful.
Yeah, exactly. No, I agree. But what I mean is now there's that excuse that hopefully for us means that Ben McAdoo and Steve Spagnuolo and all the people who was there when Coughlin was in charge and he was still garbage stay. Because then they don't actually deal with the issue, which is lack of talent and lack of coaching. Neil,
5 more years,
please. Neil, your first hot take, please.
The Cleveland Browns really need to stop giving the ball to Isaiah Crowell and start giving it more to Duke Johnson. I
like Hugh Jackson. I think he's an excellent offensive coordinator and did a decent job in Oakland Raiders back then in Oakland Raiders style circumstances. But this is not good. I believe he's 1-21 as a coach at the Browns, and he isn't making very bright decisions. And
no,
I know DeShone Kizer isn't pulling up any trees, far from it. But you made that bed. I think you have to lie in it, or you shouldn't have made that bed in the first place, and you should have let Hogan die and then give it to Kizer.
Yeah, Hugh Jackson is currently performing at a Norv Turner-esque level of offensive genius, bad head coach style. I say this offense, it looks creative. It's crap. The offensive line that you poured an awful lot of money into it is crap. It's not helping Isaiah Crowell. But you can't argue the fact that on lesser numbers, Duke Johnson is much more efficient and much more productive. Crowell, 62 rushing attempts this season, 194 yards. That's 3.1 yards per carry. Duke Johnson, and no touchdowns. Duke Johnson, 16 attempts, 77 yards, 2 touchdowns, 4.8 yards per carry. Receiving, Crowell 7 for 57. Johnson, 23 for 270 and a touchdown. But just list these numbers are the worst ones for me. Duke Johnson on first down, 9 carries, 41 yards, 4.6 yards per carry. On second down, 5 carries to 25 yards. Can we all work that out? Okay. Isaiah Crowell, first down, 39 carries, 156 yards. That's 4 yards a carry. Okay?
Mm-hmm.
Second down, 17 carries, 16 yards. He is averaging 0.9 yards a carry on second down. Oh, Jesus wept. And it's not as if Duke Johnson is one of these, he was a wide receiver at college, but now he's learned to be a running back. No, he is the Miami Hurricanes all-time leading rusher.
I think this is where sometimes, don't get me started on Miami Hurricanes running backs, don't we? Could be here all night.
Must we?
We could if we wanted to. I think this is where I don't understand this in sport in general, and I mean this in like every sport. If you follow, say, baseball, for example, the Washington Nationals are playing the Chicago Cubs tonight, and Jason Worth, who plays for the Nationals, is garbage, but still plays because, I don't know, actually no one knows why he's playing apart from the coach Dusty Baker. There's a litany, Neil, of Premier League players who shouldn't never have played but continued to, and the NFL is no different. All you ever see is young talented lads being kept out by not good older fellas. I don't understand it, and Hugh needs to change that quite quickly.
I don't think he survives this season.
I don't either.
I
think it gives Sashi and Di Podesta and the boys kind of a get out of jail free card. Can we have one more chance with a different coach?
Yeah, we'll carry on the same philosophy. We're going to accumulate picks, but we need another coach.
Yeah, who gets us better or something. You know, we've all been there. My second one's up in, this week. Gamblers and game pickers, beware. You've probably all done your gridiron one. You're probably in an NFL pick'em league. You're probably looking at your accumulating that right now. You're in your death pool league, and you've all gone, do you know who I'm picking this week? Washington. Because they're at home against the 0-5 San Francisco 49ers. This is my public service announcement to the 4 people listening to this show. Don't do it. Don't do it. I've been here before. I've been doing this for 25 years. Do not fall in
trap game.
Do not fall into this trap. I'll give you 2 reasons why. Or 3. 1, never pick Washington. 2, Kyle Shanahan. 3, the 49ers keep on just getting beat. They won't keep on just getting beat once. They'll just win. And it'll probably be this weekend.
Pierre Garçon.
And there's number 4, Dutton. Thank you very much. Final hot take from you, I believe.
I'm done with Eric Ebron.
Can we make a plea? If you invite us to a fantasy league next year, we are in a league of record. I do not want to be involved in a single full season standard scoring league that has, I'm going to swear now, fucking tight end in it. I am not interested in it. I want no part of it. I want multiple flexes, and I will not rest until a tight end position is removed from my league of record.
It is a cesspool of ineptitude, but he is the head cess.
The head cess. He's not been good, and he has not been good basically since the start of his career in the NFL.
No, all the signs were there, all the things were there for him to succeed this season. You know, the red zone looks now that Anquan Bolden was gone. Only Kenny Golladay is the big-bodied receiver. On the season, Eric Ebron has 12 receptions for 93 yards and 1 touchdown. That's 7.8 yards per reception. You're not a running back. He's catching 52% of his passes. You're not a downfield threat. You're supposed to be a safety blanket. You have brick hands. That touchdown he dropped in the end zone against the Panthers, Jesus wept, mate. I mean, you know the phrase, you've got to hand it to him, otherwise he'll drop it. Yeah, that was that. I mean, Cole Wick. No one's ever heard of you, Cole. You're not a real name. It's not a real name. You scored 2 touchdowns, looked better on both the receptions than Ebron has for about 3 years. I'm done. Although, worryingly, I did write positively about Ebron this summer, and it was just something I looked back on. I've not written that many yet, but the articles I've written for Number Fire so far were about Kenny Golladay, injured, Greg Olsen, Tyler Eifert.
This is going well.
And the latest one I've written is about Alex Smith. What have I done?
I don't know, but he's my starting quarterback this week, so be careful. Final hot take this week on Wax and Lyrical is me and Dutton. You know, you think it's a feud against the Green Bay Packers. It's not.
End the feud.
It's this has to be it. This has got in the it's always our year. This is our year. This has got to be the Green Bay Packers year, Dutton. If we're saying, and I think we're quite right in saying that, you know, if the Eagles win tonight, they could be the number 2 seed, and say if the Panthers win, they could be the number 2 seed. Sorry, like the Packers are infinitely more talented than both of those teams, especially on offense. Maybe not on defense for both, but don't forget they've got a game genie in Aaron Rodgers. Like there's nothing better than if anyone's seen that Snapchat picture of the smug Packers fan in Cowboy Stadium when they're all cheering as they go up 34-31, and he's took a picture with still 2 minutes left. We have Aaron Rodgers, and he just thought, I know what's happening next. You think that Jeffrey Lurie doesn't own the Eagles, Larry Fitzgerald does. I know for a fact Jerry, you can't kneel for me, Jones don't own no effing Cowboys. That's Aaron Rodgers. The
one I like is it's a shot of Rodgers saying, see there's 1 minute 13 left on the clock, then the next one zooms in a bit more. Be a shame if someone then right in his eyes scored again. No, yeah. the man is a wizard. It does say literally it was the first touchdown to Devontae Adams on Sunday that I just texted the group, stop it.
It's naughty, isn't it?
But it was like this is America's game of the week, and you know you're out here as if you're playing for the Harlem frigging Globetrotters. Come on.
I think what we need to say, don't we, is if this isn't the year for Aaron Rodgers and he gets beat again in the playoffs, like, dear America, I know you like him better than Peyton Manning. I'm not 100% sure why, but that's fine. I like Olivia Munn too, so maybe that's the reason. But he will have been just as bad, if not worse, in playoffs than Peyton Manning ever was.
Mm-hmm.
They're the hot takes done. I'm sure there'll be more next week, but let's get straight onto it. This week, the bar. Let's talk games of the week.
The games of the week.
Touchdown, 85 yards. He's going to score. He's going to score. He's going to score. Touchdown.
That's Gus, and if you haven't had a chance, find Gus's just put Gus Johnson barbecue into Twitter as the tackle from the Ohio State guy nearly destroys the Maryland guy. It's absolutely peak Gus Johnson. Peak Gus Johnson. Gus, I love your work on FS1 and college, but the NFL misses you, and I hope you're back soon.
Come back, Gus.
First game done. We've talked about the Lions already, but we're going Lions at Saints. The line is at Saints are favoured by 4.5, and the over-under is 50, but we'll come to our thoughts on that later. With the NFC so bunched up this year, I think, as you said, there's no real class, although, you know, we've mentioned Packers, Eagles and Panthers, I guess. Could this be a wild card tiebreaker style game?
It certainly has the hallmarks of it. I mean, the Saints have played better since they started. You know, it was 0-2, wasn't it, when they started? They've certainly put some oomph into their defense, and they've got rid of one major headache that cost them $2.8 million for 27 carries. So, if the defense is functional, well, we know what the offense can be. The Lions they're a good team. They're a very underrated defense, but they don't really have, I don't think, the killer instinct of great teams. That every game they're in is a bleeding shootout, you know what I mean? It's a nail biter, and ultimately that's going to catch up on them. But also, yeah, I think the Vikings, with Sam Bradford's health, we don't know just how healthy he is. The Bears, bless them, and the NFC South is wide open. So yeah, you could argue that these two teams could be playing for a wild card berth.
I just look at it, don't you? You look at the division. You say, as you said, Minnesota. When your best quarterback option at the moment is Case Keenum, that's an issue. The Tampa Bay Buccaneers, well, we caught that curse, didn't we? We gave them that full and truly. Killed off the Tampa Bay Buccaneers.
On the similar note, I've been asked by Mr. Adam Foxcroft to stop picking the Titans.
Oh, they are basically the Titans right now.
Yeah.
If it makes Adam feel any better, I've got a 6-team division accumulator that I'm going to lose because I picked the Tennessee Titans. So thanks, Adam.
Don't think it's his fault.
I think it might be. I don't. It's either him or Ray. So, you know what I mean? I'm picking Titans fans, so that's how we're going. I look and think, I don't think I'll be a Detroit Lions fan because, you'd have to have a new pacemaker every second week because every game seems to go down to the final 4 plays. And the Saints, they've got Drew Brees, and with Drew Brees, you've got a chance if, as you quite rightly point out, their defence can be somewhat okay. I guess, the Lions' defensive line, the Lions' offensive line against the Saints' defensive line could be interesting. And by interesting, I mean not good. If we focus on the Saints, Dutton, I couldn't believe this stat when I looked at it. The Saints have only scored over 20 points in one game this season, which is completely un-Saints-like. Is this just a circumstance thing, or is this something that we should be concerned about?
Personally, I think it's just a circumstance thing. I mean, I don't think they haven't had their first choice offense on the field much because they haven't had Willie Snead. Kobe Fleener is naturally very good at football. Tommy Lee Lewis,
wasn't
a great name.
Wasn't he in Fugitive?
Yeah,
Men in Black.
He doesn't care. It's got them where they needed to be, but they haven't blown anyone's doors off yet. Unless Drew Brees literally has spent the bye week eating crisps and drinking Stella. He usually comes out of a bye week on fire. Would not be surprised if this was a vintage 350, 400, 4 touchdown type game for Brees, because that's what he does.
Yeah, I just think you get to that stage with certain quarterbacks and offenses. I guess they've been so good for so long. I just can't be too concerned right now. He has a London game, which was bizarre. I think he played the Patriots.
Crap.
Well, you know what I mean.
It was crap.
But what I mean by bizarre, it's kind of strange, blah blah blah. They're at home. I'm less concerned by them. What I am concerned about is the Lions' offensive line. Is there a way that the Lions' running game can help that offensive line and also, stops Matthew Stafford from being killed?
I don't think so. I don't think the backs they have are good enough to create their own yards. Abdullah is in this strange neutral zone in that he doesn't get receptions and he doesn't get goal line work, so he's exclusively between the 20s. Zach Zenner is, he's a pounder, but you've got to give him some help. And Theo Riddick is a wide receiver. They could do a better job of protecting Stafford, but you'd have to remember that one of their starting tackles is Greg Robinson, who essentially is a traffic cone turnstile. And just he's about as effective as a cat flapping in an elephant house, and ultimately not the person I'd want protecting my blind side.
Yeah, the Lions are struggling, but have won some games, but they're not great, and they really struggled last week against the Panthers. And I know the score suggested it was close, but it wasn't really for 3.5 quarters almost. It was totally dominated by Carolina. So yeah, I fear for the Lions this week. The Saints are by 4.5.
I'm going to take the Saints.
Yeah, me too. Well, mate.
I don't think they'll shut the Lions down. The Lions will score points, but I think the Saints will have more bullets than the Lions will.
Yeah, I fancy the Saints by 10 points here. Over-under's 50, Dutton.
Over.
Yeah, it's the Saints. You've always got to pick the over, and picking the over is always fun.
That's why I don't do it very often.
Exactly.
Too much fun.
Exactly.
Too much fun. I'm not it. I don't do this. I don't do this for fun.
Speaking of fun, Dutton, there's a fun game in Jacksonville, and that's the LA Rams against the Jacksonville Jaguars. Isn't it cool that I picked this game as these two teams are watchable?
Yeah, rather than the, let's be ironic and talk about how crap they both are.
Yeah, exactly. I picked this because they're interesting teams to watch with doing things very differently. Let's be honest about it. They're two very different, enjoyable teams to watch, but enjoyable nonetheless.
They both have a formula of how they want to win, and you look at their wins this season. Say they're both 3-2. All their 3 wins have come when the formula has clicked. And when they've been knocked off script, that's when things haven't gone so well.
So I guess if we look straight at the Rams, they're up against another tough defense like they were last week. Last week they only got 10 points, was it? Do you expect them to struggle again against what has been an absolutely fantastic pass defense from the Jacksonville Jaguars?
It's tough to say because, as obviously we know that the Jags have the two shutdown corners, Aboye and Jalen Ramsey. The Rams have a wide receiver who is surprised that he's not getting used. No surprise to me. You're not very good, mate. You're all hat, no head. I am referring to Sammy Watkins, of course. They're not going to bother. To funnel. This is a phrase I've learned. They don't want you to pass on them, but you can go at their middle linebackers. Pozlowski, Miles Jack, and the like. So Sammy Watkins isn't going to get used, but you can run on the Jags as well. We have seen this, so it could be Sean McVay is never going to lean towards a run-heavy game script. But excuse me, it does smack as a day that Todd Gurley will probably get an awful lot of work on the ground and through the air. But to be honest, he's been getting that all season and he's been delivering. Yeah,
I'm with you on that. As you said, the wide receiver magic for the first couple of weeks, it won't happen this week, I doubt. As you said, with Boye and Jalen Ramsey being fantastic so far. But Todd Gurley's been brilliant, and the Jags have struggled against the run. But I think it's one of them strange ones. I always wonder with teams like this, that if you're so good defending the pass, you sometimes get that strange concept of no one will then throw on you, so they run a lot, so they get a lot of yards. It's like a kind of self-fulfilling prophecy almost.
It was, if you remember back, it was what the Eagles were like under Jimmy Johnson in the early 2000s. The Eagles had, obviously, I hearken to these days, a very good secondary that literally you just couldn't pass on. So they ran an awful lot, gave up a lot of yards, but when it came to the red zone and the field shrunk, they very rarely gave up rushing touchdowns. It's similar with the Jags.
Exactly. But I think as Todd Gurley, who we may come back to later, has a big game. If the Rams are going to do anything, it will be through Gurley. On the other side of the ball, we talking running backs again. The Rams are giving up 133 yards per game. Jags literally only run the ball. I think they attempted to throw it once in the second half against the Pittsburgh Steelers. Is this a match made in Doug Marrone heaven? Oh God, yeah.
I'm surprised he's been able to give out a game plan this week over the sound of his throbbing erection. Okay, Blake, this ain't your game. Literally, just make sure every single handoff is right in Leonard's gut and occasionally in Chris's. Because, you saw basically that last week, the Steelers-Jags game, whenever a quarterback threw the ball, they say three things can happen when a quarterback throws and two of them are bad. That's what last week looked like.
Yeah. This game could last literally an hour. It could just last the actual length of the game. The only is you just run, followed by run on the other side.
Yeah, it's a shame you can't win 1-0.
Yeah. It is. The Jags are favoured by 2.5 in this game. What say you?
I'm going to take the Rams because I think they have more offensive playmakers to make it a game where the Jags can't just lean on Fournette. And we've seen that when that happens, Bortles is not to be trusted. So, this... we've seen Coach Phillips make some good adjustments at half-time, but the defence is starting out games very slowly. And you'd hope, that friend of the show, Son of Bum, will fix that. So
that was going to be my thoughts on the games. It's really dependent on Coach Phillips getting that rush defence working, because if it doesn't, they could be punished. The Jags really can't have nice things, but I'm going to say they're going to win the game this week. Go to an unbelievable 4-2. Good on them. The over-under is 42, Neil, which I think is a decent number, that.
Yeah, I'm going to say just the over.
Yeah, I'm gonna take the under. I'm seeing like a similar score from to the Rams game last week, in that kind of, maybe a 2016 style game in favour of the Jags. Final game, Dutton, is a massive AFC matchup, which is the Steelers at the Chiefs. And I guess at the start of the season, I think we talked about the Steelers trying to get the number 1 seed, and they have struggled badly, but they're still only 3-2, so it's not the end of the world. But if they want a week off, never mind the number 1 seed, they've got to win this game, surely.
They do have to win this game. They won't, because the quarterback is garbage. And quite frankly, I'm fed up with him. You're not playing well. You haven't for 3 years. Admit that. Don't then come out with this crap that, maybe I've not got it, and then the next day say, oh, I never question myself. You wrestled with retirement all summer, dickhead. So you can't say you don't question yourself. You called out Martavis Bryant for his behaviour. You've called out Antonio Brown for his behaviour, and you give that press conference and then go back on your word the next day. I'm fed up of you. Seriously, believe me, the Pittsburgh Steelers were a lot bigger than you before you arrived, and one would hope they'll be bigger than you when you're gone. Your glory days are finished, mate.
He is, I think, and has been for the past 5 or 6 years, the biggest diva in the NFL.
Yeah.
All you ever hear about are the Odell Beckham Jr.'s of this world, and Ben Roethlisberger blows Odell Beckham Jr. out of the water.
Can't wait to tell you how injured he is.
Can't wait to tell you how injured he is, but how much he will play and fight through that pain.
Yeah, I'm sorry, no. It's a dysfunctional team. The offense, he's holding the offense hostage. Martavis Bryant has not looked good, but his game is, the deep ball, and they can't connect. Le'Veon Bell, honestly, I don't know if it's Todd Haley, but we know that Roethlisberger gets an awful lot of responsibility, and is allowed to run the offense an awful lot. Why are you throwing 50 times against the Jags? Why are you running 15 times against the Jags? What have we just talked about?
It's ridiculous, Neil. It's ridiculous. So I guess my question on this is, you don't think this is a slump, right? You think this is, an epidemic, and this is something that isn't going away. You think the Steelers are going to struggle on offense all season?
I think the 5 easiest games of their schedule are gone, and they lost 2 of them. And so, it gets a lot harder from here on out. And we have seen great quarterbacks lose it. We saw it 2 years ago with Peyton Manning. I'm not going to, anyone can argue with me all you want. Peyton Manning was in terms of being playing the role of NFL quarterback, Ben Roethlisberger is not fit to lace the boots of Peyton Manning. He lost it.
Yeah.
His was mostly arm, the brain was still sharp. And it comes down to this that I generally have always said: as soon as you think about retiring, go. Once that question, that thought goes in your head, you've opened the door. You can't close it again. Go. Ian Chappell, former Australian Test captain, he was towards the end of his career. He was playing the game, and he just thought, must be getting a bit close to lunch now. He looked up at the clock. They'd been playing for 5 minutes, and he was clock watching. That was his last game. He said, "That's it, I'm done. I know it's done." If you start thinking, should I retire? You've just answered your own question.
On the other side, Alex Smith on. Although you just cursed him with your number 5 article, is he Alex Smith MVP and permanent starter in your fantasy team
this season? Yes, he is. Let's say the article I wrote for number 5. His efficiency stats this year have been phenomenal. They are well above average. They are well above his nearest competitor. This is passing and running. It's not been soft opponents. As you know, the Washington, the number 5 metrics really like the Washington defense. They really like the Houston defense, and he torched them. There aren't many quarterbacks. He's not a streaming option anymore. He's a starter. He is on pace for... He's not going to get this, don't get me wrong. He is on pace to score more fantasy points this season than Aaron Rodgers did last.
wowzer. I mean, he's played really well. I had something weird. I was listening to the Ringer NFL show with Robert Mays and Kevin Clark, and on the PFF they have a stat called the Alex ratings, which in theory was named after Alex Smith, and he's in those ratings almost exactly the same. Like nothing's really changed. I think the players around him don't have just got better and allowed, and him and Andy have grown into each other, which has allowed them to design better plays for Alex Smith. And we've always liked Alex Smith. We're more on the bandwagon than not. We understand his limitations and always have, but he's playing really well, and I enjoy it, and I like that the Chiefs are good. That's a good thing, and I hope it continues.
He's one of the best deep ball throwers in the NFL this year. His efficiency when throwing the ball more than 20 yards downfield, and to say this is the small sample size anymore, it's 5 games. He is throwing the ball downfield. He's not looking to short the sticks on third down. They converted 3 of 4 against the Texans. That you think last year, that's, we'll take a 3-yard game when we needed 5 and we'll punt it away and trust the defense, which obviously is playing well as well. But the defense can play with so much more confidence, knowing that A, they're probably ahead, and B, if they're not, Smith will get them out of danger. And, Travis Kelce was playing well, obviously. Please stop with the taunting. Grow up. Tyreek Hill is in and out of games, but Kareem Hunt is an absolute gem because he just keeps pounding. The run was not working against the Texans, but they stayed with it because they knew eventually it would. And it's like, sorry, this isn't Andy Reid.
I was just going to say, you watch games like that and you're like, how much do Philadelphia Eagles early 2000 fans watch that and then smash their laptop into a million pieces? So I needed that Andy Reid. That was the Andy Reid I needed, because if I had that Andy Reid, I would have won a Super Bowl or 2.
Yeah.
Well, we won't talk about that, because you'll make you cry. Steelers at Chiefs, and the Chiefs are favoured by 4.5.
I'm taking the Chiefs.
I'm not done in that kind of weird, they have to lose eventually, and the Steelers are playing a good team, which usually means that they play better. I just think the Steelers are going to win. I don't really know why. There's no real logic to it. I'm just going with it. Over-under's 46.
Under.
I'm going to take the over. I'm seeing some kind of 30-26 adventure, which would be nice. Hopefully a lot of throwing from Alex Smith, because as I said, he's in my fantasy team. Nabby.
Just go to go to Number Fire for that article.
And read how Alex Smith used to be good until Dutton cursed him. They're the games of the week, Dutton. But let's get deep in the weeds of fantasy, and let's look at your fantasy darling this week.
Hello, darling.
Fantasy darling this week, purely born of opportunity afforded to him, is Evan Ingram. They have Roger Lewis and Tavares King as the wide receivers, the Giants, of course. And they're playing the Denver Broncos, who I think they have some quite good cornerbacks, but again, they have struggled against tight ends historically. Evan Ingram has had a very, very, very productive season, especially for a rookie tight end. Although, oddly, last week, despite the carnage, he had 0 receptions on 4 targets. I don't think that'll continue, and I think he will become a focal point of the Giants' offense, such as it is.
And let's be honest, Dutton, Evan Ingram isn't a tight end.
No, he's a wide receiver.
He's a wide receiver, so it actually weirdly helps him. If you know what I mean. That is Shepard out this week as well, I believe, yeah?
Still in a walking boot, so very unlikely he'll play.
So there you go. I think that's sensible that Eli's got to throw it to someone, you would assume.
Although, you think though the Giants, why not, go, for poops and giggles, sign Ruben Randall, Hakeem Nicks and Victor Cruz?
Could they do worse?
All still under 31.
Yeah, okay. Thanks
and
for
I
that.
Piss myself if they did.
Yeah, any of them, Dutton. Any of them.
Yeah, especially Rube.
Speaking of losers, let's find out who Neil's fancy loser for week 6 is.
Eric Ebron. Don't see the point of you, mate. Call it a day. Don't care who he's playing. Don't care. It's just generally don't care.
But we know it's the Saints. So yeah. Dutton, ironically, after me ranting about how I wish the tight end position would die, has picked a tight end for his darling and loser.
Well, I have a brand to protect.
Yeah. Very good point. Very good point. On that, the money making man of this group is now going to give you his DraftKings fantasy team of the week.
Mains and Duts daily fantasy team of the week.
Show me the money.
Got beat by Tony last week. I'm not going to lie, wasn't happy. I don't think the 8 pints I had in the boozer on the Sunday helped, but I'd already picked the team, so I can't use it as an excuse. I've got what can only be described as the most bizarre team ever this week. I don't really know how I got here, and there's a load of lads who I just look and go, why have I got him in my team?
Were you drunk again?
I think I might have been, although I did this yet today in work, so I hope I wasn't. Quarterback is Trevor Siemian. He's 5,500. He's playing the Giants. I like a stack, so he might come back. The Giants aren't good, and I like following crap teams around. I think that's a sensible approach to take when it comes to fantasy. When you get to pick your team every week, rested, ready to probably absolutely annihilate the Giants. Why the hell not?
Well, yeah. I mean, I would piss myself again. I've used that a few times to see the Giants go 0-6. It would be hilarious.
Yeah, I mean, as I said, they will eventually beat Washington, but I don't know when. That's not for a while yet. Running back one, we mentioned him before. It's Leonard Fournette. He's playing the Rams. He's 8,000. He's awesome. Like, he's
a full-grown man.
I'm so happy he's awesome because he was awesome for LSU, and then kind of wasn't awesome in his last year because he got a bit nervous about being injured, and LSU's really badly coached, and it just didn't really work. But like he was unbelievable in college, and I made up that he's unbelievable. We got into a bit of an argument about, if you haven't seen it, Google Leonard Fournette, Mike Mitchell, when Fournette got into the open field and kind of said, "Let's be having you, Mike Mitchell. I'm going to run you over." Should he have done that? Probably not. Will he do it in year 3? No. Was it cool, and did me and you really like it though? Damn Skippy, we did like that. Need an offensive leader on that Jaguars team, and I'm glad it's going to be Leonard Fournette.
Yeah.
Running back 2, Dutton, same game. Why the hell not? Todd Gurley, Los Angeles Rams. He's obviously playing the Jags. He's 7,700. As you can see, I've basically spent all my money already. Yeah, I've got a feeling this game could be the shortest game in NFL history if the two coaches have their way. Gurley gets a lot of touches, ground and in the air, and as you said, with Jacksonville's secondary being so good, I think their passing attack will be short passes to Todd Gurley.
Well, why change now?
Exactly. Wide receiver 1 on the stack. I played a game of which Denver Broncos wide receiver should have picked this week against the Giants. I picked Demaryius Thomas. Really kind of name and a hat job. He's 6,000. He's playing the Giants. I've done it because he's with Trevor Siemian. I've never been fully convinced by Demaryius Thomas. You like him a lot more than I do. I just hope this week it's good and he proves me wrong. I like being proved wrong, especially when it makes me money.
I love Demaryius Thomas, but his last 89 targets have yielded 0 touchdowns.
I know, and I saw that, and I thought this has to change. Now, okay. So what you will have seen is I've spent somewhere in the region of 30,000 or 50,000, and I've still still got 5 places to go. So I think you should look for value in the
No. You can't start saying you were looking for value. You've just admitted what you did.
No,
you splurged and now you're penny pinching. This isn't looking for value. This is hoping you fall into value.
No. Well, it's. I hear what you're saying, Dutton. But when you can get a guy who we picked in week 1, I believe, at 9,000, 7,200, sorry, was week 1. And he is now 5,000. Now, there's a reason for that. He's forgotten how to catch. He's not really being thrown to. Last week his quarterback was E.J. Manuel, and we're still not sure if his quarterback will be Derek Carr this week. However, I picked Amari Cooper because I know he's good. Do you know how I know? Because I've seen it with these two eyes. Has he been good this year? No, he hasn't. Can he be crap all season? I'm hoping not, Neil. So I'm picked Amari Cooper, and I'm going to hide it under the guise of value while you tell the truth about it being because I had no money left.
Yeah, I will.
Speaking of having no money left, Jeremy Caley's playing the Pats this week. Oh,
Jesus, wept.
But I picked this on reason. There's a reason for this, Dutton. The Pats flat out stink on defense, right? And I think the Jets are fun. Like, the Jets are actually fun. Like, they're garbage but fun at the same time. There's a gang of misfits like running all over the field, and I'm hoping one of them will throw a pass to Jeremy Caley in the end zone. I only need one touchdown.
Yeah, so does he. And I say the joy of DraftKings, as we know, is it's PPR, which you actually have to get them to get the points.
Yeah, I know, Neil. Tight end is Delaney Walker. He's actually good. And Mariota should be back, but hobbling around will probably look to get rid of the ball a little quicker than usual. That's a good thing for Delaney Walker fans. Colts
have given up a receiving touchdown to a tight end in the last 3 games.
There's that as well, and he's 4,800. Flex option is... I might actually change it now. Because I picked Amir Abdullah for the Lions against the Saints, but then you talk a good game of Theo Riddick. I think you should pick one of those running backs for the Lions against the Saints. They're both in the same kind of value sphere, so you're fine to pick either one.
PPR.
Exactly,
PPR.
So I'm going to switch and go to Riddick. As you quite rightly said, he's the passing option. So go for Theo Riddick, flex against the Saints. Final is defence and special teams. A team that we picked a lot in DraftKings last year on the offense side, and that's the Atlanta Falcons. But this week, they're playing the Miami Dolphins. I don't know if anybody's seen the Miami Dolphins offense. No, neither is anybody watching the Miami Dolphins offense because it doesn't exist. Good job, Jay. Smoking Jay knows that offense well, isn't he? Because imagine if he didn't know the offense, how bad that team would be.
That former Dolphins coach, the best line he's seen all season was the one at the end of the pound note.
Well, hey, yeah, good sending that picture to that lady of the night.
Of dubious repute.
Bravo. So, to recap, Neil, Simeon, Fournette, Gurley, Demaryius Thomas, Amari Cooper, Jeremy Caley, Delaney Walker, Theo Riddick, and the Atlanta Falcons.
Do you know... I've literally just realised this as well. The only people on that team who've got receiving touchdowns this season are Fournette and Gurley.
I know.
Because Delaney Walker's only touchdown was a rushing touchdown.
But if you look at them, But the problem I had with this week was, I looked at the wide receiving options, and with the exception of picking all Washington players, which was never going to happen, there was no one really to pick, with the exception of possibly Antonio Brown, who I did attempt to put in, who was 9,300, Neil. So if you thought the team was bad beforehand, it would have been worse. And then I'd have to trust Ben Roethlisberger being good, and I wasn't prepared to do that. So I understand that this team is on the precipice of being good or absolutely terrible. But I thought it was a risk worth taking this week.
Well, kudos to you.
Thank you. Any final thoughts, Neil?
No. Say I've written a couple of articles this week. I say the Alex Smith one for Numberfire. Wrote of his I've written about the impact of Charles Clay's injury. As I say, he's been a favourite streaming option for a lot of users this year. So I look at what the Bills have got at tight end, and I've got my weekly streaming article for the tight ends. That's out this week. I've given you the 3, and I've given you some honourable mentions as well, because there's not an awful lot of great value at tight end this week, but there's a lot of people with a decent floor. Sunday from 4 till 5, I'll be taking over the Gridiron Twitter account, and I think I'll be on the NFL show at some point on Sunday night, and I'll be back on it with Nat and Iron Mike next Tuesday as well.
And you were on this Tuesday, Neil?
I was.
Fantastic. Neil is at Indulton13. I am at Mandy7. Combined, we are at waxing_lyrical. As we've mentioned multiple times, it's me tweeting, so apologies for the grammar.
And spelling.
Catch us on iTunes. Give us a rate, give us a review, please. Every little helps. And that's us. And this will be week 6, and these top guys are well and truly out.